I want to automate my workflows so that I can deliver more value, but not so much that I want to automate the actual me, right, on social media. So me, the actual brand, that should not be automated.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Beyond Social, the show where we go behind the scenes on how we're building an awesome tool for marketers. I'm Reggie, one of your hosts, and today Vitaly and I are talking a little bit about automations. So there's the good side, there's the maybe not bad side, but the side that you should probably stay away from. So we're going to be talking about how you can make your life a little bit easier as a marketer with some automations.
Yeah, we get asked, often about automating various sort of day-to-day tasks from users. And to some degree, Vista and any SMM tool, for that matter, is already a way to automate some of that. But perhaps the automation, as we kind of wanted to discuss today, is the automation where things are done for you without your involvement, and perhaps even at scale, right? And I think this is where it's a gray area at best, and the area that could get both the user and the app performing such functions into trouble with networks right away. So I want to start by, first of all, defining the terminology as to what automations are. Automations would be things like auto-following, right? Auto-responding. And what automations are not is, let's say, for example, publishing a post automatically that you scheduled, right? So that's not automations, right? Automations are truly actions that are done on behalf of users without the user actually clicking on the button to do it. I know that there are tools out there that are offering followers and they're offering auto likes, and we get customers and we are asked, right, oftentimes as to why don't we have features like that. And fundamentally, there are two reasons for that. One is we are an officially approved and authorized and frequently audited app on each of the networks. And all of the networks prohibit these types of automations, these forms of automations. And more fundamentally, it's almost never a good idea to sort of automate in that way, right? So I think today we were hoping to talk about sort of good automations, but also kind of steering clear of the kind of automations that are deemed very robotic and very bot-like, which are, again, getting followers and things like that.
Yeah, so inauthentic engagement, I think, is what comes to mind in the realm of stay away from these types, right? Because most networks, and we talked about it in another episode, the goal of their algorithm, their existence, is to get you to stay, I guess, on the platform as long as possible by serving you content that they think you'll enjoy the most. And that way you'll stay and you'll watch more or read more and engage more. So the inauthentic engagement really decreases the value of the network, brings down the authenticity of the community that they empowered or envisioned to build. So when we talk about automation, so let's talk a little bit about the integrations that we've built, right? With Zapier and Make, and even with Slack, right? Automations that are built to empower marketers to make their jobs easier.
Yeah, so, and that's kind of where we have to maybe just reiterate the difference, I guess, between a good automation and a bad automation. And to some extent, maybe the types of automations that we're going to talk about aren't really automations in the sense of kind of doing anything within social media per se, right? Yeah. Or like automatic responses. All of that is a completely off the table. None of it is possible with any tool that plays ball with networks, that is approved by networks. So if you're seeing a tool that does this, this is not a legit tool. And by the way, the easy way of knowing that you're not using a legit tool is that tool would ask you for your password. Login and password. So if you are in a relationship, if you are using a tool that does that, requests your login and password to your Facebook and whatnot, you know for a fact that this is not a legit tool. And it's one thing if you're risking your own credentials, but if you're doing it for your clients, this is the red flag the size of Empire State Building. I mean, this is just a red flag, as red as they come. Like, don't do it, right? So I think when we talk about automations, we're talking about automated workflows to help you, whether you are a brand or a business or an agency, to streamline your processes, right?
Right.
And again, we're using the same term, automations, but it's really automating your processes and not automating your interactions with the networks. Because networks, not only do they not like automated bots and things like that because they create crazy load on networks and just unnecessary content, but they, as you point out, they diminish the value of the network. Like, you go in to read interesting content and instead you see just a bunch of automated activity, that's going to, for you, decrease the value of the social network in question, and you'll stop using it. So, and when they say they don't like it, let's just say that they really don't like it. So anybody caught doing it gets banned, suspended. If apps are doing it, they get banned, suspended. So everybody loses, right? And by the way, those bans are permanent. Like, you can't walk away from it once that happens. So back to what we have is automating workflows.
Workflow automations versus engagement automations.
Correct.
Maybe that's
So we want our users to be productive, and we do kind of understand that SMM tools, vistasocial included, they don't exist in a vacuum for any business, right? They are out there alongside other tools, CRM tools, project management tools, email tools, or all sorts of other tools. So obviously, it's very natural for any of our users to want to integrate Vista with something that already exists, right? And for those who are familiar with like integration practices, it would involve some sort of an API. An API is complex to build, and all these tools probably have a different API. So what we ended up doing, we ended up partnering with Zapier and Make actually as well. Today we're going to use Zapier as an example. But Zapier, essentially, it's this hub of thousands of apps that have built Zapier integrations that you can now connect. And if you look at that, you'll find everything from your favorite Google apps in there to your favorite CRM tools in there, project management tools in there. And connecting Vista to one of those tools is as simple as 2 to 3 clicks. And I think today we wanted to kind of like walk users through some of these examples. And I think Zapier has a bunch of tutorials. We do training on Zapier and Make as well. But what's in your, like, do you want to maybe talk about some of the examples of what you've seen the users sort of do with this connection?
Yeah. Really frequently, we onboard and train agencies on our team that have already had their clients adopt, even in their internal teams, a project management tool like ClickUp or Monday or Asana, something like that, where the ideation, maybe some of the collaboration until a post is ready to really get scheduled happens at that end through the project management tool. And so because the clients are so heavily ingrained into that workflow, into the process, the question has been, okay, how do we then not have to manually recreate the stuff that's already living in ClickUp into vistasocial? And so being able to take a connector like Zapier to say, hey, when your ClickUp task or your Asana task that represents a post moves to a finished state, a completed state, it could trigger the attached image, the caption, the date, the time, even the specific profile you want it to get scheduled to push all that data into vistasocial, and that becomes an actual post on the vistasocial calendar for your scheduled profile.
Yeah, that's a really nice example. I've seen integration between Google Drive and our media library, where a user essentially keeps, manages to have a process, right, of keeping a lot of their, images and videos within Google Drive. While it's certainly possible for them to download the image, then upload it to Vista, right, it's a lot easier for them to simply just upload it to the Google Drive and for Vista to automatically receive it, right? Also, a very simple connector to create using Zapier.
Yeah. I think just getting media in there, a lot of brands maybe have digital asset management. Zapier has tons of integrations with digital asset management tools that, as you're creating new content in there, it could fire a Zap and push that into the vistasocial media library. CRMs are a big one. I know you mentioned that. So as you're getting engagement from the community, maybe a team member who is involved wants to now push this to the sales team, so they can push that comment or that DM that came through into the CRM, Salesforce, HubSpot, you name it, using a Zapier integration. So there's more context around the conversation on social, maybe even a little bit of attribution there, right? Hey, the lead life cycle started through this post that we saw or this engagement we saw on social.
Awesome. Yeah. So I've also seen notification examples where a published post, a failed post, a post that requires a review, a draft that's been created. Vista provides these notifications through emails and Slack, but teams sometimes need a very custom way of informing their users through other means or internal systems. Again, simple Zap, and I hope users are getting used to the word Zap that we're using. That's Zapier's terminology for the actual link, as they call it, Zap. So you create a Zap and you connect our notifications to your favorite tools, and that's where they go, and that's when they show up. So essentially that gives you endless capability with just extending our base functionality, which is again email and Slack. It allows you to kind of do endless things with it, really.
Yeah. Content repurposing, I think, has become a really big thing, right? Brands, even like vistasocial, right? We're producing podcasts where we've got social content and we've got maybe audio content. And there's a lot of tools out there that will take those and repurpose them into YouTube Shorts and shorter snippets for Reels, whatever that is. And so Zapier actually has a lot of integrations with tools like that help you to repurpose your long form content. And so what it could essentially do is get that long form content cut up into smaller pieces using that tool. And each of those short form videos can get zapped into vistasocial. And again, a new social post on your calendar automatically.
Yeah. A published post in Vista zapped into that system. That system modifies it, zaps it back into Vista. All very seamless, right?
Yeah.
So I hope sort of like the listeners sort of see that it's the workflow automation and not necessarily the automated behavior with the social networks. So, but assuming that difference we've made kind of clear, the second kind of point that I wanted to reiterate is this notion that social media management tool does not exist in a vacuum, right? And if you are able to hook it up and connect it to other workflows, you are that much more productive and you can get that much more done, right? So vistasocial is not the end of your capability, but with Zap, it's really just the beginning, right? So you get the base and then you can dress that up or connect it to whatever you want. And again, if you look at Zapier, it's thousands of apps. And we have also Make, for those of you who prefer Make. It's same in principle system with its own thousands of apps in the ecosystem connected.
Yeah. Very unlikely that a brand is using an app that isn't on Zapier.
Zapier has been around for ages, and it's unlikely that that's something that you use and don't have it. It's everything. It's Salesforce, HubSpot, Google Drive. Even our competitors are on there too. And so you can even if you are migrating to Vista for whatever reason, I'm sure you can do that through this app as well. Just get the content into the system.
That's true. Getting their published posts or scheduled posts, moving them over. Why not? Easy, seamless migration system. Right? Absolutely. I did want to point out one thing, kind of just going right back to the beginning, which is, hey, maybe there's a listener or viewer that's been using a tool that's asked for a password. I've actually seen a transition over the last couple of months where those apps trying to fly under the radar a little bit, maybe they aren't fully approved. Instead of asking for username and password, they're creating these browser extensions that are essentially working in the background to scrape data from your profiles to then give you more level of access for analytics, or will actually take action on your LinkedIn and respond to comments. Again, bypassing the need for a password. So it's not always just the password. The big thing is if you're looking for a behavior automation thing, it's just not possible. These networks, they're not really wanting to do that. Workflow automations, making your life easier, connecting all the tools in your ecosystem. That's how you superpower your vistasocial experience.
Yeah, I think it's really, if you're out there and you're thinking about automation as a way of getting ahead or somehow streamlining your process, automating the actual behavior on social networks, I think we strongly advise you to just reconsider that, because as we always talk about in our podcasts, being present and being relevant on social media is really all about the quality and the relevance of your content. It's not about quantity, it's not about velocity, it's not about anything else, right? It's really, and that you can only achieve through really hard work and creative thinking and getting the right team in place, the productivity, and for you to be productive and for you to be resourceful, and that's where our connectivity integrations come in, and sort of what we refer to as a workflow automations. That's the right frame of mind. I want to automate my workflows so that I can deliver more value, but not so much that I want to automate the actual me, right, on social media. So me, the actual brand, that should not be automated.
Right.
So you should be you, but the work that you do should obviously be as smooth as possible, as productive as possible. And that's kind of where we are with the Zapier integration.
Yeah, we're here to help superpower your workflow, right?
For sure.
Make your lives easier on getting things created, communicating, collaborating. But thank you again for joining us. We're really excited. We love talking about these topics. If you have an idea, a topic you want us to cover, or maybe you want to join Vitaly and I on an upcoming episode, head over to our website, vistasocial.com/podcast, and we'll see you next week.